This is HOA clapback, and I have the paper trail. I am counting down, Gloria said, tapping the edge of her phone screen like she was timing a bomb. And you have 45 seconds to move that truck before I call the tow company myself. I stood on my front step holding a coffee cup I had grabbed on my way out the door, still wearing my white hoodie and a green baseball cap I had thrown on after my shift ended, and I watched her wave a laminated notice template with blank spaces she had filled in by hand. The notice claimed I had parked in a guest spot overnight, which was a lie, and that I owed a reinspection fee for an inspection that never happened, which was also a lie. She was election committee chair for the Prairie Crossing Property Owners Association, and she had a crossbody bag stuffed with paper packets slung across her purple jacket. Her dark brown hair was tucked behind her ears under a gray bucket hat, and her face was already red. The whole scene was happening in my driveway at dusk, with porch lights starting to turn on up and down the block, and I could see two neighbors standing by their mailboxes watching us. I had moved to Boise 3 weeks earlier for a park ranger transfer, and I had picked Prairie Crossing because the rental was affordable and the lease was short-term while I looked for something permanent. The HOA was supposed to be low-key. The listing agent never mentioned that the board had a history of enabling the loudest person in the room, or that Gloria Anderson had been running election proxies and targeted enforcement waves for years. I learned that part later, after I met my ally, a neighbor named Marcus who sat on the architectural review committee and knew the backstory cold. But standing there in my driveway with Gloria counting down like a dispatcher, all I knew was that she was moving goalposts I had never been told existed, and I was about to lose my truck and maybe my lease if I did not figure out what was happening fast. "You do not get an opinion," Gloria said, cutting me off before I could answer. "You get a fine schedule. Now move the truck or I am making the call." I did not move. I pulled my phone out and held it chest-high, filming her. She noticed the camera and her expression shifted from smugness to rage in about half a second. "That is not allowed," she said, stepping closer. "It is my driveway," I said. "You are standing on it. I can film whatever I want." She opened her mouth to argue, then pivoted and started walking back toward the guest lot where my truck was parked. I followed her, still filming. The guest lot was a small paved rectangle at the end of the block with 6 spaces and no signage except a weathered post that said guest parking in faded letters. My truck had been there since yesterday evening when I got home from a long shift at the ranger station, and it was still the only vehicle in the lot. Gloria marched up to the driver's side door and slapped a printed sticker on the window. The sticker had HOA violation printed across the top in bold letters, and a handwritten note underneath that said unauthorized overnight parking, tall authorized. No date, no signature, no reference number. I stepped closer, keeping the phone steady. "When did I get notified about this violation?" I asked. "You were notified when you moved in," Gloria said, not looking at me. "All residents received the parking addendum with their lease packet." "I did not receive a parking addendum," I said. "I received a welcome letter and a copy of the CCRs. Nothing about guest lot restrictions." "Then you threw it away," Gloria said. "That is not my problem." She turned and started walking back toward her own townhouse, which was 2 buildings over. I stayed in the guest lot, reviewing the footage on my phone. The sticker was visible, the empty lot was visible, and her refusal to show me any paperwork was on record. I texted Marcus, the neighbor I had met at the mailboxes a week earlier. He had warned me that Gloria liked to target new residents with surprise violations, and he had told me to document everything. I sent him the video and asked if he knew anything about a guest lot overnight rule. He texted back in under a minute. "No such rule. Guest lots are 24-hour unless posted otherwise. Check your title report for recorded restrictions." I went inside and pulled up my title report on my laptop. The CCRs were attached as a PDF, and I searched for guest parking. The only mention was a single line that said guest spaces are available on a first-come basis and are not assigned to specific units. No overnight restriction. No permit requirement. No reinspection fee language anywhere in the document. I screenshotted the relevant page and texted it to Marcus. He replied with a string of angry emojis and a short message. She is doing it again. Same playbook. I will explain tomorrow. The next morning, I woke up to a certified envelope taped to my front door. The envelope had a return address for the Prairie Crossing Management Company, and inside was a single-page notice on HOA letterhead. The notice claimed I had missed a mandatory compliance hearing scheduled for today at 10 in the morning, and that because I failed to appear, the board had voted to assess a $500 fine, plus a reinspection fee of $200. The notice was dated 3 days ago, but the envelope postmark was from yesterday. The hearing time had already passed by the time the envelope was delivered. I called the management company and got a receptionist who sounded bored. I explained the situation and asked for a copy of the hearing notice that was supposed to be mailed to me before the meeting. She put me on hold for 6 minutes, then came back and said the hearing was canceled last week and I should disregard the fine notice. So there was no hearing, I said. Correct, she said. Then why does this notice say I missed one? I asked. You will need to speak with the board, she said, and hung up. I called Marcus. He answered on the first ring and told me to come over immediately. His townhouse was 3 doors down, and when I got there he was standing in his driveway holding a thick binder with a dozen sticky tabs poking out the top. He waved me inside and closed the door behind us. She did the same thing to another resident 3 years ago, Marcus said, dropping the binder on his kitchen table. Guy named Trevor. New move-in, same block, same fake hearing notice. Gloria claimed he owed back dues for a special assessment that was never recorded. She filed a lien packet with a bogus ledger, and he spent 8 months fighting it before the management company finally pulled the plug and retracted everything. I stared at the binder. It was labeled Trevor Filay Shisui 2022 in black marker, and the tabs were color-coded by document type. Marcus flipped it open to the first tab and showed me a certified envelope identical to the one I had just received. Same return address, same format, same backdated postmark. How did you get this? I asked. Trevor gave it to me before he moved out, Marcus said. He wanted someone to have the receipts in case she tried it again. And here we are. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures of every page. The binder had everything. Copies of the fake hearing notices, copies of the bogus ledger with line items that did not match the recorded budget, copies of emails between Gloria and the management company where she insisted Trevor owed money, and the management company repeatedly asked for documentation she never provided. And buried at the back of the binder, a single email from the management company director saying they were closing the case and instructing Gloria to stop contacting Trevor, or they would terminate her committee access. This is the proof, I said. She is running the same scam. Marcus nodded. And the management company knows. They just do not care enough to stop her unless someone forces them to act. I spent the rest of the day building a timeline. I took Marcus' binder home and cross-referenced every document with the notice I had received. The fake hearing date matched the same playbook. The bogus reinspection fee matched the same bogus line item Gloria had used on Trevor. The certified envelope postmark trick was identical, and when I pulled the HOA group chat screenshots Marcus had forwarded to me weeks earlier, I found messages from Gloria coordinating a targeted enforcement wave against 3 new residents, including me. The messages included phrases like "hit them early and we can tow first and explain later." That is how enforcement works. I let her get that line on record because I wanted to use it against her later. That afternoon, I filed a public records request with the city clerk for any complaints or enforcement actions filed against Gloria Anderson in her capacity as election committee chair. The request cost me $12 and took 2 business days to process. When the response came back, it included a PDF packet of 3 prior complaints from other residents, all alleging the same pattern: fabricated violations, backdated notices, selective enforcement, and retaliation against anyone who questioned her authority. None of the complaints had resulted in disciplinary action, but all 3 included written responses from the management company acknowledging the complaints and promising to review committee procedures. I printed the entire packet and added it to my own binder. Then I drafted a demand letter to the management company. The letter summarized the false hearing notice, the bogus fine, the sticker on my truck, and the pattern of prior complaints. I attached screenshots of the HOA group chat messages, copies of Trevor binder pages, and the public records response. The final paragraph was a single sentence: retract the fine and the reinspection fee in writing within 5 business days, or I will file a formal complaint with the State Real Estate Commission and copy the board of directors on every document in this packet. I sent the letter via certified mail and emailed a copy to the management company director, the board president, and Gloria. Then I waited. 2 days later, Gloria showed up at my front door with a tow truck idling in the guest lot behind her. She was holding a clipboard with a dispatch authorization form clipped to the top, and she had a handheld radio clipped to her belt like she was running a security detail. The tow operator was standing by his truck with his arms crossed, watching us. He was a middle-aged guy in a high-visibility vest, and he looked like he had seen this routine before and was not buying it. "Your truck is being towed," Gloria said. "You have been in violation for 6 days, and the board has authorized immediate removal." "Show me the authorization," I said. She held up the clipboard, but she kept it angled away so I could not read the form. I pulled out my phone and started filming again. The tow operator noticed and straightened up. "Ma'am," he said, stepping forward, "I need to see the signed authorization and proof of violation notice delivery before I hook anything." "I have it right here," Gloria said, waving the clipboard. "I need to see it," the operator said again. "Not from you, from him." He pointed at me. "If he disputes the violation, I am not proceeding without confirmation from the management company." Gloria's face turned red. "He does not get to dispute it," she said. "The board voted, and the fine is recorded." "Then show me the recorded fine," the operator said, "and show me the delivery receipt for the violation notice." Gloria fumbled with her crossbody bag and pulled out a folded packet of papers. She handed them to the operator, who unfolded them and read for about 10 seconds before handing them back. "These are not signed," he said, "and there is no tracking number. I am not hooking that truck." Gloria started yelling. "You do not get to decide what is valid," she said. "I am the committee chair, and I authorize this tow." If you are enjoying this story, hit the like button and subscribe for more HOA nightmares with receipts. The operator shook his head. "Ma'am, I need proper authorization or I am leaving. Call your management company and get a signed form. Or call someone else." He walked back to his truck, climbed in, and drove off. Gloria stood in the driveway staring after him, her mouth open, her clipboard hanging at her side. I was still filming. She turned to me and jabbed a finger toward my chest. "This is not over," she said. "You are going to pay every dollar, and I am going to make sure you do not last a month in this neighborhood." "I will see you at the hearing," I said. She walked away, and I went inside and uploaded the video to my cloud storage. Then I emailed the tow operator refusal to Marcus, along with a short note. She just lost her vendor. What is next? Marcus replied within minutes. Board hearing is in 3 days. She is going to try to railroad you there. Bring everything. I will be there as a witness. The hearing was scheduled for 7 in the evening at the management company office, which was a bland single-story building 2 miles from the neighborhood. The lobby was a glass-walled waiting area with a long desk and a few plastic chairs, and when I walked in at 6:50, there were already 5 other residents sitting along the wall. I recognized 2 of them from the mailbox cluster. Marcus was there, sitting near the door, and he gave me a quick nod. Gloria was standing at the desk talking to the receptionist, and she turned when I walked in. Her expression was pure smugness. I sat down next to Marcus and set my binder on the empty chair beside me. Gloria walked over and stood in front of me, her arms crossed. You should have just paid the fine, she said. Now it is going on your permanent record, and every future board is going to see it. I did not respond. I opened my binder and pulled out the first tab, which was the fake hearing notice with the backdated postmark. Gloria glanced at it, and her smile faltered for half a second before she recovered. That is not going to help you, she said. The board already voted. The board voted on a hearing I was never notified about, I said. That is fraud. You were notified, Gloria said, raising her voice. You just ignored it like you ignore everything else. The receptionist called my name and told us the hearing room was ready. Gloria led the way down a narrow hallway to a small conference room with a long table and 8 chairs. 3 board members were already seated at the far end. The board president was a man in his 60s with reading glasses perched on his nose, and he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. The other 2 members were women I did not recognize. Gloria took a seat at the table next to the president, and I sat across from them. Marcus stayed in the lobby, waiting to be called as a witness if needed. The president opened a folder and read from a printed agenda. This hearing is to address violations filed against the unit owner at 1247 Maple Ridge Drive, he said, glancing at me. The violation includes unauthorized overnight parking in a guest lot and failure to comply with a reinspection notice. The fine assessed is $500 plus a $200 reinspection fee. Do you have a statement? I slid my binder across the table and opened it to the first tab. This is the hearing notice I received, I said. It was postmarked yesterday, but it claims the hearing happened 3 days ago. I was never notified in advance, which means the hearing was invalid and the fine is void. The president picked up the notice and studied it. He looked at Gloria. When was this mailed? It was mailed a week ago, Gloria said without hesitation. He is lying about the postmark. I pulled out my phone and showed the president a photo of the envelope with the postmark clearly visible. The date stamp is right here, I said, and the management company receptionist confirmed the hearing was canceled last week. This fine is based on a fake hearing. The president set the notice down and looked at Gloria again. He did not say anything, but his expression had shifted from boredom to concern. Gloria leaned forward and started talking fast. The postmark is a clerical error, she said. The notice was generated and mailed on time. He is cherry-picking details to avoid accountability. I flipped to the second tab in my binder and slid it across the table. This is a timeline of identical violations filed against another resident in 2022, I said. Same fake hearing notice, same backdated postmark, same bogus reinspection fee. The management company retracted that case after 8 months of fighting, and they sent Gloria a written warning to stop filing fraudulent claims. This is the same scam, and she is targeting me because I am new and she thinks I will not fight back. The room went silent. The president picked up the timeline and read through it, his face hardening with each page. The two other board members leaned over to look, and one of them whispered something to the president. Gloria's face was bright red now, and her hands were shaking. "That case was resolved," Gloria said. "It has nothing to do with this." "It has everything to do with this," I said. "You are using the same playbook. Fake notices, bogus fees, selective enforcement. And when residents push back, you escalate and try to bury them in paperwork and threats." I flipped to the third tab and pulled out the HOA group chat screenshots. "This is you coordinating a targeted enforcement wave against 3 new residents," I said, including the phrase "we can tow first and explain later." "That is not enforcement. That is harassment." Gloria stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. "Those messages are private," she said. "You had no right to access them." "They were forwarded to me by another resident," I said, "and they are part of the public record now, because I filed a formal complaint with the State Real Estate Commission this morning, along with copies of the prior complaints against you, the fake hearing notice, and the tow operator refusal." The president held up a hand. "Everyone stop," he said. "This hearing is suspended until we can review these documents and confirm the facts. Gloria, you are excused. We will contact you when we are ready to proceed." Gloria opened her mouth to argue, but the president cut her off. "You are excused," he repeated, his voice sharp. She grabbed her crossbody bag and stormed out of the room. The door slammed behind her, and I could hear her yelling at someone in the lobby. The president looked at me and sighed. "Give us 48 hours, he said. "We will get to the bottom of this." I left the hearing room and found Marcus waiting in the lobby. Gloria was gone, but I could see her through the glass wall outside, pacing in the parking lot with her phone pressed to her ear. Marcus grinned and clapped me on the shoulder. "You just made her night a lot worse," he said. The next morning, I got a call from the management company director. She introduced herself as Linda, and her voice was calm but firm. She told me she had reviewed my complaint and the documents I submitted, and she was opening a formal investigation into Gloria's conduct as election committee chair. She also told me the fine and reinspection fee were being retracted immediately, and that I would receive written confirmation within 24 hours. "What happens to Gloria?" I asked. "That depends on what we find," Linda said. "But I can tell you that if the investigation confirms fraud or retaliation, she will be removed from the committee and barred from holding any HOA leadership position in the future." I hung up and texted Marcus the update. He replied with a single word: "Finally." The written retraction arrived by email that afternoon. It was a short letter on management company letterhead, signed by Linda, confirming that the fine and reinspection fee were void, and that no further action would be taken against me. The letter also included a line apologizing for the inconvenience, and noting that the board was reviewing internal procedures to prevent similar issues in the future. I printed the letter and added it to my binder. Then I sent a copy to Trevor, the previous victim, using the email address Marcus had given me. Trevor replied within an hour. "Thank you," he wrote. "I am glad someone finally made them listen." 2 days later, Linda called again. The investigation was complete, and Gloria had been removed from the election committee effective immediately. Linda also told me the board had voted to implement new oversight rules for all committee chairs, including mandatory documentation reviews and quarterly audits of enforcement actions. Gloria was prohibited from filing any violations or enforcement actions without board approval, and any future complaints against her would result in permanent removal from all HOA activities. I thought that was the end of it, but I was wrong. 3 days later, I got a text from Marcus. "Gloria is trying to file a lien packet with the county recorder. She is claiming you still owe the reinspection fee plus late charges. She is going around the board and trying to force it through before anyone notices." I called Linda immediately. She confirmed that Gloria had submitted a lien packet to the management company that morning, but that it had been flagged and rejected because it included line items that did not match the recorded budget. Linda had already sent Gloria a written warning, but Gloria had ignored it and tried to file the packet directly with the county recorder anyway. "Can she do that?" I asked. "Not legally," Linda said, "but she can try, and it will take time to unwind if the recorder accepts it. I am sending a letter to the recorder office right now to block the filing, but you should monitor your title report for the next few weeks just in case." I thanked her and hung up. Then I called the county recorder office myself and spoke to a clerk who confirmed that a lien packet had been submitted that morning but was under review. I explained the situation and offered to send documentation, and the clerk agreed to hold the packet pending verification from the management company. The next day, Linda sent me a copy of the letter she had sent to the recorder office. It was a formal cease and desist directed at Gloria, stating that she was not authorized to file liens on behalf of the HOA, and that any documents submitted under her name should be rejected. The letter also noted that the management company had opened a fraud investigation and was cooperating with state regulators. That afternoon, I got another text from Marcus. "Gloria is at the hardware store parking lot trying to bait you into a confrontation. She is parked next to your truck and she is filming with her phone. Do not engage. Just leave." I was already at the hardware store, picking up supplies for a trail repair project at the ranger station. I walked out to the parking lot and saw Gloria standing next to my truck with her phone held up, recording me. She was wearing her purple jacket and gray bucket hat, and she had a laminated policy sheet in her other hand. A small crowd of shoppers had stopped to watch, and I could see a store employee standing near the entrance with a radio, clearly debating whether to intervene. "You are in violation of the parking policy," Gloria said loudly, waving the policy sheet. "This is private property, and you do not have authorization to park here." I kept walking toward my truck, ignoring her. She stepped in front of me, blocking my path. "You do not get to ignore me," she said. "You do not get an opinion, you get a fine schedule." I pulled out my phone and started filming her. The crowd grew larger, and I could hear people whispering. Gloria noticed the attention, and her voice got louder. "This man is a scofflaw," she announced to no one in particular. "He refuses to follow the rules, and he thinks he is above accountability." I looked directly at the camera on my phone and spoke calmly. "This woman is Gloria Anderson, Election Committee Chair for Prairie Crossing HOA. She has been removed from her position for filing fraudulent violations, and she is currently banned from filing any enforcement actions without board approval. She is harassing me in a public parking lot because I reported her to the State Real Estate Commission." The crowd murmured. Someone said, "Call the cops." The store employee stepped forward and asked Gloria to leave the property. She ignored him and kept yelling at me. The employee pulled out his radio and called for a manager. 2 minutes later, a manager arrived and told Gloria she needed to leave immediately or he would call the police. She finally backed down, but not before yelling one more time. "This is not over," she said. "You are going to regret this." I got in my truck and drove away. The video of the parking lot confrontation went viral in the Prairie Crossing neighborhood group chat within an hour, and by that evening, 3 more residents had come forward with stories of Gloria targeting them with fake violations and retaliation tactics. Linda called me again and told me the board was now considering legal action against Gloria for defamation and harassment. The final showdown happened at the management company lobby a week later. Linda had scheduled a meeting to review the investigation findings and finalize the settlement. I arrived early with my binder, Marcus as my witness, and copies of every document I had collected. Gloria was already there, sitting in one of the plastic chairs along the wall, her crossbody bag on her lap. She looked tired and angry, and she did not make eye contact when I walked in. Linda called us into the conference room. The board president was there, along with the 2 other board members I had seen at the hearing. Linda sat at the head of the table and opened a thick folder. "We have completed our investigation," Linda said, "and we have determined that Gloria Anderson engaged in a pattern of fraudulent enforcement actions, including filing fake hearing notices, submitting bogus fee assessments, and attempting to file an unauthorized lien packet. She has been removed from the election committee, and she is prohibited from holding any leadership position in this HOA for the next 5 years. Additionally, the board has voted to settle this matter by retracting all enforcement actions against you, reimbursing your documented costs, and issuing a formal apology." Gloria stood up. "This is a witch hunt," she said. "You are punishing me because he filed a complaint, not because I did anything wrong." Linda looked at her without expression. "We have documentation of 3 prior complaints against you for the same behavior," she said. "We have copies of the fake hearing notices you filed. We have the HOA group chat messages where you coordinated targeted enforcement. We have the tow operator refusal. And we have the lien packet you tried to file after being explicitly told to stop. This is not a witch hunt. This is accountability." I leaned forward and looked directly at Gloria. "I have one question for you," I said, "and I need a yes or no answer. Did you or did you not backdate the hearing notice you sent to me 3 weeks ago?" Gloria's mouth opened and closed. She looked at Linda, then at the board president, then back at me. Finally, she shook her head. "No," she said, "I did not." I pulled out the public records response and slid it across the table. "This is a document from the State Real Estate Commission," I said. "It shows that you filed an identical complaint against Trevor in 2022, and that the management company issued you a written warning for backdating notices and filing fraudulent claims. It is the exact same pattern, and it proves you knew what you were doing was illegal. You lied just now, and you are on record." Gloria's face went white. The board president leaned forward and whispered something to Linda. Linda nodded and closed the folder. "This meeting is over," Linda said. "Gloria, you are required to retract your claim in writing within 72 hours, or we will forward this matter to the State Attorney General Office for criminal fraud investigation. The HOA is retracting the enforcement action in writing, and we will pay your documented costs within 30 days. You are free to go." I stood up and walked out. Marcus followed me into the lobby, grinning. "You just took her down," he said. 2 weeks later, I received a settlement check from the HOA for $800, covering my filing fees, certified mail costs, and the time I had spent gathering evidence. I also received a formal apology letter from the board, signed by all 3 members, acknowledging that the enforcement actions against me were invalid and apologizing for the inconvenience. The letter included a line promising new oversight procedures to prevent similar issues in the future. And then, the funny karma moment happened. Gloria showed up at the next board meeting with her printed packet of complaints ready to argue her case one more time. But a sudden gust of wind caught her papers as she walked across the parking lot and sent them airborne. She chased them across the lot in her purple jacket and gray bucket hat, while a dozen residents watched from the lobby window, laughing. By the time she gathered them all, the meeting had started without her, and the board refused to let her speak. Marcus texted me a video of the whole thing. "Best thing I have seen all year," he wrote. I stayed in Prairie Crossing for another 6 months while I looked for a permanent place, and in that time, 3 more residents came forward with evidence of Gloria's past violations. The board eventually voted to ban her from all committee activities permanently, and the management company implemented quarterly audits of all enforcement actions to prevent future abuse. The tow vendor refused to act without proper authorization after the incident with my truck, and Gloria lost her ability to weaponize towing as a pressure tactic. The neighborhood is quieter now. The loudest person in the room does not get to set the rules anymore, and residents who get targeted with fake violations know they can fight back with receipts and win. I moved out last month and found a place closer to the ranger station, but I still check in with Marcus once in a while to hear the latest prairie crossing drama. He tells me Gloria tried to run for the board again last year, but she lost by a landslide after someone shared the settlement documents in the group chat. I learned a lot from that fight. I learned that HOAs can enable bullies if no one pushes back. I learned that documentation is the only weapon that matters when you are up against someone who lies without hesitation. And I learned that the coldest cases can be reopened if you are willing to dig through the old files and connect the clues no one else bothered to chase. I will see you in the next upload.